Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host, Evan Teague, and with me, like always, is my man who has not been delayed, Noah Bailey.
Hope not.
And today, we're going to be starting with the news that the Blade movie has been delayed indefinitely. It
I
was on the
mean,
schedule as far as the most recent time, where they pushed it already 8 times already. It was on the schedule to be released November 2025, which is insane to me that it was in October, but whatever, it doesn't matter anymore anyway. But as of most recent earnings meeting, it has been taken off their schedule with just a generic TBD. So, not November.
only ever gonna be one Blade. That's all I'm saying.
Like, there's new rumors that they might start filming in February.
It's not. It's it. At this point, we've gone through not exaggerating 3 directors
At least.
at least.
Mm.
Multiple scripts, entire scripts. At one point, allegedly, it was supposed to be like not even about Blade. At one point, it was like something like that. Like it, we clearly don't know what we're doing, and all we have is a person who is willing to play Blade and literally nothing else. So it's not happening. We're done. It's just not. I don't know why making a Blade movies is hard, because I feel like it's very easy to just make a movie about a guy hunting vampires. But
Yeah.
here we are.
So here's kind of like my thoughts on this. It's maybe a little hypocritical of, general Marvel fandom to be up in arms about this movie getting delayed, when for the past like 5 years we've been yelling at Marvel to slow down, take your time, stop releasing all these bad movies. And then the one time that they are taking their time, we freak out about it.
Yes. Do you have more? I'm sorry.
Kind of, but
Okay. Yeah.
this they're taking a long time with this movie.
And it's not only that, but it's also like people want you to slow down and or stop with like things we didn't ask for. I feel like is another big part of it, because you know what I mean. Like it's like everyone, like we like Blade. Everyone's been on board with Blade for a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these other things. I mean, I hate to say it, but like even all these other projects coming out, I feel like are not like, yes, this is for me. I've been asking for this. A lot of things are very like, oh, okay, we're also doing this because why not?
Yeah.
But like,
And kind of even going off of that, I think there's obviously a lot of potential for these shows to end up very good. For example, the Agatha show is incredible. No one asked for that. So
no.
for all we know, Ironheart, Wonder Man, like all these other shows that no one asked for, no one even knows who these characters are, they could end up being pretty good. However, like it almost feels like, these shows and movies that, the Thunderbolts, again, people don't really know who that team is yet. They're still, pushing it, prioritizing that, when people have been asking for a Blade, and by extension a Midnight Suns project, since the MCU's inception. And we're just now maybe going to get that sometime in the kind of near future, possibly, like in 2025.
Yeah, that's kind of like, yeah, like I mean, people have really wanted a Blade movie just because. Yeah, I mean, like it's just like this is something we, like you said, this is something we've wanted for a long time, and it's important because, yeah, like I mean, I don't know. I understand we're just making things a lot, and it has felt like we're just kind of mindlessly throwing content at Disney Plus or the movie theaters or both or whatever. But it's also like, okay, but this one I actually want to do well. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I don't, like you said, like I don't like. I mean, again, Agatha's doing really well. No one asked for that. It's like, oh, no one like. I mean, Thunderbolts. It's kind of like, I mean, I guess, but I mean, I'm not really like. If this was news that like, oh, Thunderbolts or Wonder Man or any of these other things, basically anything else that got announced was like delayed indefinitely, I'd be like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
But Blade, it's like, why is Blade the only thing that just got completely just hit by a bus, and
Yeah.
everything else is like right on time?
Why do they have such a clear vision for these other shows and movies, but Blade, something that, you
Honestly,
know,
should be easier.
any any I don't want to, denigrate the people making it, but I feel like any middle schooler, if you think, hey, make a vampire movie, they can at least write like a basic script for you,
I mean,
like
that's kind of
building a
my thing.
concept.
It's like, I mean, because like I feel like this would go very much kind of like some of the other projects that have kind of just been a really cool thing on their own and haven't really. I mean, because I mean, like I go back to like Moon Knight was really cool,
Hmm.
even though it had no real connection to anything.
Oh yeah.
It was done by itself in a vacuum really well, and you could say the same thing about like I feel like kind of like the same with like Shang-Chi and like a lot of other movies
Hmm.
that even since they've come out and how good they did, like we kind of haven't heard anything about them otherwise. So
Yeah.
I feel like you can't be like, oh well, once we have an immediate follow-up, we're not going to do it because everything else we've been doing doesn't really seem to have immediate follow-ups. I mean, we're just now following up with like Wanda stuff and all that. That's been a couple years, so it's kind of like
Hmm.
okay, and that's not even
Yeah.
really in the same capacity anyway. But I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like,
It's especially funny that we heard Mahershala Ali's voice in the after credit scene of the Eternals back in 2021.
bro.
When Blade was originally supposed to come out the next year, and it just didn't.
That's what I'm
And then
saying,
3 years
man.
later,
It's
it
like
got delayed again. Like,
that's what
okay.
I'm saying. It's kind of like it's one thing for an idea that like was thought about to kind of be scrapped, but it's like this like we were making this like this was happening. Like this was
Hmm.
on the docket. This was in the lineup. We were making it happen, and now we're just not. Especially with like there's that Blade game is supposed to be coming out, which is
Hmm.
gonna be, see, but like what's crazy? I bet the game is gonna have a simple yet amazing story.
Oh yeah.
And then the movie's like, oh, why didn't we think of that? It's like
uh,
you couldn't think of Blade just like fighting vampires. Like that's like all Blade. I mean, it's like you don't have to like it's like not being able to think of like I mean, come on. It's not like pick up a comic book if you need inspiration. Like,
hmm.
but
Yeah.
it is what it is. But
Hmm. Yeah. There have been rumors that because of this delay, uh, Marvel is fast tracking a Midnight Suns project, um, which they should have
without Blade?
fast tracked that
Like,
years ago, back when Moon Knight came out. But whatever,
yes.
because it's like the that year and a half time period, we got Moon Knight, we got uh, Werewolf by Night, which had Werewolf, Elsa Bloodstone, and Man Thing, which could any or all of them be a part of the Midnight Suns.
Sure.
Agatha could potentially be a part of that group. Wong could potentially be a part of that group. Blade, obviously, the Black Knight from from the end of the Eternals. Like there are so many characters between 2021, 2023, like within that 2.5 year period, whatever, that felt like they were naturally building towards something,
Yeah.
and then like with ideally, the Blade movie comes out, and then the after credits scene of that directly builds to Midnight Suns. But then Blade just kind of kept, I guess, hindering production of that. I'm not exactly sure what the hangup was.
I mean, you could always introduce him in that movie too, and then just do Blade after potentially. 'Cause, I mean, that's not the
Yeah.
first time they've already set the precedent for that in their own universe multiple times. So,
Hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, really, all I want is a Midnight Suns movie, just because I really like the mystical side of Marvel so much. Like, I love like the almost kind of pseudo horror vibe that Moon Knight, that Werewolf had, like that, Multiverse of Madness had. Like I think, I think Marvel can thrive in that space, given the right direction. I just hope it also would kind of theoretically would have filled that gap of like a superhero team up style movie in between Avengers movies. And
Mhm.
I'm not sure if Thunderbolts would really be able to you know fully what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, I don't know, whatever. The I won't be fully satisfied with the Thunderbolts because it's not, those characters aren't on the same tier as Avengers or even like Doctor Strange tier characters like the Midnight Suns usually are. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully when Blade or Blade Project or character or movie that has Blade in it when it eventually comes out, hopefully it'll be good. But who knows when that'll happen? So
We'll see.
yeah. While I'm looking at the next topic, I realize we're not in the right format.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even. Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't even realize.
Fine, fine.
Hang on. Big conference room.
Oop,
Oh,
that's not it.
change it. Change it. Oh, there we go. There we go.
That's better.
That's
All right.
better.
Um, Next up, Spider-Man 4 has officially has a release date locked in for July 24th, 2026. So it'll be the first movie after, assuming Avengers Doomsday is still on track for, for May of 2026. It's the first movie, is your first Marvel movie to come out after Avengers Doomsday. Obviously, Avengers Doomsday could leave the Marvel universe in a very
Who
weird place.
knows?
Who knows? Like this could take place, this should actually take place before or after that. It's a little unclear, but Tom Holland did say that he fully believes that the fans will be very happy with the project. Like he's read the script and he's very happy with it. So I'm hoping that means it's more so, a more grounded, street level project. But knowing Marvel, I almost, or Sony especially with how Venom 3 ended, I kind of doubt it. I would not be surprised if Disney, if Sony kind of forces the Venom stuff in there, but
Ugh,
who really knows?
man. I trust the Spider-Man movies will be good. Now, what they're potentially having to, get involved with, we'll see. But I mean, I'm not, again. I get a lot will obviously hinge on how this Avengers movies go. But I mean, it's last time Spider-Man was like the first thing we saw after an Avengers movie was still pretty good. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about Blade, because Blade got delayed out of November of next year, I would not be surprised if they delay Fantastic Four to go into that November spot.
You think they will?
I, I feel like it's in their best interest because, um, you know, July, it was already coming out in like July 26th or something. Um, in that month, we were already getting a new Jurassic World movie, which all of them break a billion somehow, and a new Superman movie.
Yeah.
Like, and then obviously there's a week or two break in between, but
I mean, it is Superman,
yeah, I
and it has Superman in the title this time.
exactly. And James Gunn is not moving from that spot. Obviously, Fantastic Four, like you want. I know Disney really likes their July superhero movie spot, but you know November historically can be hit or miss, and some things like Wakanda Forever, Thor, or Thor Ragnarok can be really big. And if they promote it well, assuming there's no there isn't another writer's strike or some other weird thing happens, like I think a November Fantastic Four movie could could work.
Yeah, I mean, is anything big really slated for them? Like, I mean, in general, even not even for Marvel, just like
Nothing off the top of my head.
right.
Um, what else is coming out next year?
There's a
uh,
lot coming out, but I can't think of
there's a
anything in
lot, but
November.
yeah, I know there's a
It's all
couple
like
of
the summer or before.
yeah, I know there's a ton of. I think there's gonna be 9 different Marvel projects coming out next year, including Disney Plus shows, which people are like, "Oh, I thought Disney was slowing down." Like they are. Just it just happened that they slowed down so much that everything got delayed into next year.
Yeah, everything ran into each other again,
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah.
because we got
Well,
Captain America, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four. We got the Marvel Zombies show. We got season 3 of What If. We got Ironheart. We got Wonder Man and the Spider-Man cartoon,
oh yeah,
and
which
maybe one other thing that I don't even remember.
probably something. But yeah, I mean that also the animation on that Spider-Man thing did look kind of cool.
Yeah,
But
I dig it. Dug it.
yeah,
I dig it. Yeah.
dig it. It's like dig it, dug it, digging it. I
Uh,
don't. Yeah,
I am digging
I
it.
am currently digging.
um,
But yeah, there's a lot going on. So I mean, they'll. I'm sure they'll like. I think you're right. I think it would be better to move that back, that Fantastic Four back, just to kind of give it its own spotlight, essentially. Especially since Fantastic Four kind of needs a win for the first time,
oh
I guess,
yes.
ever cinematically. So
Yeah. Like at this point, obviously Disney wouldn't be like the happiest, but as long as it does better than the previous movies, I would
that's
consider that a win.
absolutely
Yeah. So obviously no announcement like that has been made, but I wouldn't be surprised if that did happen. um, last bit of major Disney news I have here. Um, Going into this year and then kind of throughout the year, I was very adamant about my prediction that I thought Deadpool and Wolverine would be the highest grossing movie of this year. I was like, I don't think any other movie outside of like maybe somehow out of nowhere, like the Sonic movie, obviously that hasn't come out yet, but
mm,
maybe that could break 1 billion. Um, I didn't think there were many other movies that could do it. Obviously, I kind of wrote off Inside Out. I wrote off,
out of
a bunch of other
nowhere.
stuff, but out of nowhere, Inside Out made 695 billion dollars, beating out Deadpool and Wolverine's 1.336. So it made about 350 more $1 million over Deadpool.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good movie. Don't get me
Oh
wrong,
yeah,
but highest grade animated movie ever was not on my bucket list either.
mm-mm, no. I'm glad it did. I'm glad it beat that Lion King movie because that
Yeah.
shouldn't have been on there. I'm also glad it beat Frozen 2 because that's not a very good movie in my opinion, especially after a rewatch. It didn't hold up. I don't think. Um, But yeah, I'm glad to admit I'm wrong. Granted, it is Disney versus Disney, so I don't
True.
think they really cared who won that. But
Yeah, it's like which stand am I gonna put the trophy on? It's like it doesn't really matter. Like,
yeah. But still, I believe it is, unless I missed something else entirely. I believe it's the second highest grossing movie of this year so far. Because that Despicable Me didn't break 1 billion. Obviously, Dune didn't. It was like 700 or something. So yeah, but still, second best. I was pretty close. So assuming other movies coming out this year won't do as well, which is possible, but I kind of doubt any of the rest of the stuff will break 1 billion. But who knows?
probably. Well, I mean, it's still there's still time. We'll see, but I mean, we are. I mean, we got about 2 months and change to go. So
Yeah, like the only other things that I think even stand a slight chance are Sonic and the Mufasa the Lion King, but
I
No.
don't know. I mean,
They're not. I'm sorry.
I like the Mufasa thing. I just don't think is gonna. I mean, I don't know, but it. I don't see that going super well because I mean, one is
I
like
mean,
but like
it's not.
I don't. I feel like
It
that's never
looks
been anyone's
visually.
like.
Oh, sorry.
Has it? I'm like I don't know. Like maybe that's just me, but I'm like, has anyone really been like, man, like, well, I wonder what Mufasa was like? I feel like you kind of like
Nope.
get the vibe. Like he's
Hmm.
he's he's a great king. Like it's kind of all you need. Like you don't really need
Yeah,
the
exactly.
backstory.
Yeah. It looks visually a lot better than 2019's Lion King. Like lions actually look expressive and actually, you know, actually see emotion on their face. So there's that at least. But yeah, conceptually, I don't. Especially since it's not a direct remake of
Mhm.
Lion King. I just yeah.
Some have argued that they thought they should have done Lion King 2 instead. Your thoughts?
Um, I wouldn't necessarily say instead. I don't disagree that like it. I think conceptually in conceptually, I don't even hate the idea of doing a prequel because it is its own thing, and that's been a big criticism. Is why don't they make their own original movies? Why do they keep making live action remakes? And this is a prequel to a live action remake, so it's at least technically something new. Um, but I do feel like people, well, Lion King 2 obviously not as good as the first. It's one of the better direct DVD sequels,
Yeah,
but it's not like amazing. I actually even prefer like 1.5 personally. I just think that's a very fun movie.
I do love that movie.
Yeah, and like after this prequel, if it does well enough, they might then make full on sequels or remakes of sequels or whatever. Um, yeah, I don't hate the idea of them doing this prequel, but I also feel like yeah, like if in theory the idea of a remake is to make it better with modern technology and modern times, and the amount of improvement that can be made is significantly higher for Lion King 2 over Lion King. So since you already made Lion King and I think it's a worse product, it wouldn't hurt to try again with Lion King 2 and make a worse movie better, ideally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and honestly, that's kind of what I think live action remakes are for because it's like I just like I there's no reason to, like we've said this before about other Disney movies, but like Disney live action, but like we don't have to fix there's no fixing Lion King. There's no I mean even with like Avatar, it's like you don't really need to like live action it if it's already as good as like the best you're gonna probably do is either meet it or worse and probably the latter. So like why do that? Why not invest in a live action for something that didn't do as well? Whereas whether we could have been like a Treasure Planet or something, it's like oh yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
Lion King 2. Like I'm not saying start with Lion King 2. It doesn't really make sense because you can't just like randomly make a live action Lion King 2 without one. But like
Uh-huh.
if we're doing this now it's like okay, now we can do Lion King 2 and maybe that I don't know, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like, I feel like the Mufasa thing is kind of like I don't really get it. I don't think anyone's really been interested in this, especially if like I'm kind of confused on what like I feel like we're not going to learn anything that wasn't already. I'm not saying like prequels aren't necessarily always good, but it's like I feel like it's going to be like I don't know. Like I don't even know. Like it's
No,
just like oh
yeah, I just from the trailers alone, it really does feel like they are creating this lore that did not happen. and are trying to say like apparently Mufasa was actually a stray that they took in, and something will happen that makes him next in line to be the king.
But see, this is what
That
I'm
seems a
talking
little like
about.
what?
Like this is what I'm talking about. It's like what, like why? Like that kind of makes it worse because like like the idea that Mufasa's not like the reason Lion King works so well is because Mufasa is kind of this like he's like a goalpost pillar of what Simba believes he has to be essentially,
Hmm.
and it's kind of like not explaining the magic per se, but it's kind of like if you kind of not. I don't know, I'm trying to understand it, but it's like or not understand, but I'm trying to like well, it's like it kind of feels like the more you try to like I guess humanize it, it's like he's not really meant to be like just I mean he's supposed to be this great figure that Simba tries doesn't think he can live up to, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like
Hmm.
it's better if him just as an unexplained goalpost than as like a real thing, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's it's almost like the writers of this Mufasa movie saw the line from the original where Scar lamented like I was first in line, and then they also noticed that Scar and Mufasa look nothing alike. It's like, oh, they must not actually be brothers. Something happened that made Mufasa now a part of this, a part of this clan. But then he wouldn't. I feel like they're gonna jump through a lot of hoops to try to get to the point where it would have just been easier for them just to be brothers anyway.
Yes.
But it's the
Yeah.
only reason Lion King works is because they are brothers, not because they are like brothers. That's a
Yeah.
very different relationship.
Well, it's like, yeah, I don't know why. Like, it's giving me like bad Prince of Egypt vibes, almost like how to write Prince of Egypt wrong. Essentially, it's kind of like
Hmm.
they're like, oh, they're brothers, but not. But like, it just, I don't know. It just kind of
Huh.
feels like they're trying to make this deeper than it needs to be for no reason.
Hmm.
It's kind of like, yeah, like all you really need is like Mufasa is a great king, Scar is the jealous brother, obviously has motive and
Hmm.
kills Mufasa, and it like it's not that deep. Like it doesn't have to be like this
Yeah.
lore. Like you don't have to go like, yeah, he took my like he doesn't have to literally believe that it's taken from him in terms of like there's factual evidence supporting his claim. It just has to be like I'm
Better.
jealous.
Yeah.
Like yeah, like I'm just evil. Like we don't have to explain like it's like we said earlier. It doesn't have to be like a logical explanation to my evil. Like you're kind of ruining Scar in that way and making him like a logical, like, oh, I can see his point. It's like, no, you're not supposed to see his point. He's the clearly evil bad guy. Like
Right.
you're trying to explain to me, villain. What are you doing? Like
Hmm. And it's,
I don't know.
I, yeah, I just, I don't see a reason. I don't really see a need to explain his origin or whatever. But like I said, maybe it could end up actually being solid. I'm probably not going to see it in theaters unless someone drags me. Um, yeah, I don't know. It might break a billion, might completely flop. Who knows? All right, moving on. We got our first real trailer for James Gunn's Creature Commandos on coming on the HBO Max this December. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Have you seen this trailer?
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
I did not think I was gonna be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be like, bro, yeah. I'm like, yep,
Hmm.
that looks cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And people are criticizing him. It's like, oh, you just made the same movie again. It's like, but he's really good at it. So why are you complaining?
I mean, I'll put it this way. If it has people like that, like Creature Commandos are all of a sudden household names like the Guardians of the Galaxy are,
Hmm.
that's not a bad thing. I
Yeah,
mean, I
I
don't
doubt it'll.
like
I doubt it'll have that much impact because it's not a
no, but
movie;
like,
it's
but
just
you
on
know what I
HBO or
mean.
whatever.
Like,
But yeah,
yeah, but I mean,
absolutely.
but still, it's like, I mean, it's I mean, he's taking the most thought after characters you can think of half the time, and he's actually like putting value into it, which is better than just taking characters that already have established lore, personality, whatever, and just rewriting whatever you want on for them. Take like you can do that if you use characters no one else has used before and no one knows. Then yeah, you can just rewrite their personalities to what fits your narrative and go with it. Like I mean, even Iron Man. I mean, like although he was a much notable character, obviously Robert Downey Jr. kind of had the freedom to just kind of essentially play himself, and then it kind of just works now. So it's kind of like, yeah, you can do that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't mind that this is another, you know, dysfunctional group of morally gray, if not villainous people who come together against a common good. And also, there's a tall guy who doesn't talk a lot. I don't care that happens in every single one of his superhero movies. He's really good at making those kinds of movies and shows, so why not, let him cook with this one?
Let him cook.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that's gonna be his like official beginning of his DCU kind of, but like obviously Superman will like really kick off like the real DC universe. This will be kind of like a things that happen in this show will be referenced, but I imagine it's probably gonna live kind of in the same kind of reality that the Suicide Squad lives in, where like things might be referenced, but it won't necessarily be canon to Superman. Well, it's what really once Superman and other stuff starts coming out, then it'll be more clear about what exactly is, canon and what exactly is going on. But still, I trust James Gunn. At least more or less knows what he's doing. So.
Absolutely.
All right. The last topic I have here is something we haven't done in a while. Time for another round of Nerd Clash.
Yeah. Okay.
I saw this pitched on Twitter the other day, and this might be a little one-sided, but I think there at least could be a conversation had. Who do you think wins between a fight between the Teen Titans versus Team Avatar?
I saw this and I was actually going to send this to you, and I was kind of like, your thoughts, but also, I mean, like, okay, so ground rules.
Yes.
We're talking shows specifically, yes? No comic books? Because, yeah, like, come on.
Because
like,
if we're talking comic books, Raven obliterates the entire universe.
Solos, like everything. Like, no, that's why I asked, because I'm just like, I get, most people have only seen both shows. I know there's also Avatar comics, but there's not really a lot of feats in the comics that aren't like show level. Whereas the Teen Titans, the comics make them 100 times stronger than they already are. Yeah. So,
like, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Even if we take the Team Avatar like in their prime, like in their mid-20s, with like every arsenal that their bending could give,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because
the Teen Titan Robin has taken out lightning and fire users and water. Like, he's done it all himself, let alone with a team with him.
It's a couple of things. So one, I think they are better coordinated. I mean, Team Avatar is good and they work together a lot, but the Teen Titans literally like they do combo finishers for breakfast. Like, don't like, you know what I mean? Like, if you watch that show, like they do a lot of team attacks that are really effective, really strong stuff. I mean, they are going in. And again, there's no in the Avatar universe, there is no precedent for like any of this stuff. I mean, they don't have any, because like Starfire basically has firebending but better, and she can fly, and she's super strong, like stronger than all of them put together.
Very strong,
and she's fast. Like, I mean, Beast Boy could just turn into a dinosaur or whatever he wants to, and just kind of again like decimate. I mean, like they can kind of all like attempt a solid 1v5 individually. So it's kind of like you can't
fun,
really
kind of funny situation where could Beast Boy turn into a Badger Mole with an Earthbend at time?
see. Okay,
Like,
probably not, because I don't think he would
okay.
just get earthbending because of that. But like, but again, like I don't know. It depends. Like
Could
maybe,
he? I
like I
don't
don't
know.
know. Something like who knows? Like the man's capable of anything. But I mean,
Like, okay, here's like the one win condition that I think is even possible. Assuming there's a lot of assumption here. You have to assume that there is both a full moon and the comet at the same time.
still no,
You have to
because
assume that
he,
Cyborg's
that's what I'm
metal is
saying. I'm
pure
like,
enough to be metal bit.
even no, I mean that's the thing. It's like even with bloodbending, I don't think that applies. One, I'm pretty sure between Starfire and Raven, they don't have enough blood, or the blood's different anyway. So it probably
Yeah.
doesn't apply.
And Robin would just say no. Right?
Robin would like, oh yeah, I studied this, even though it doesn't exist in my universe somehow. But like, no, I mean, it just
Beast Boy could
doesn't.
just like turn into a jellyfish. But
Yeah,
that
that's
doesn't
what I'm
have
saying.
blood. It
You
could
could
just,
turn to any something that doesn't have blood, or something with too much blood to bend, probably.
yeah,
Because I mean, if you could,
something.
I mean, I don't see you blood bending an entire T Rex. I feel like that's a lot,
Uh-huh.
even for Katara. And I
No.
understand they could work together. I don't like it. Doesn't. There's no real feat you can do that's just like Teen
Oh,
Titans can do anything.
and like the argument for metal bending doesn't even work because that episode where Mother Blood like took over his body, he just said no. Like,
Yeah,
no, I just win.
yeah. Like I don't have to, and it's just kind of
The
like.
indomitable human spirit overcame my metal parts. Like, sure,
Well,
why
and
not?
it's kind of the thing too, where it's like there's a lot of episodes with like Raven, like the Terra episodes, where Raven kind of already can like. I mean, she basically can bend more or less anyway. I mean, probably not to
Mhm.
his extinct degree with specific things, but I mean, I feel like her abilities are pretty on par with anyone, more or less.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I don't see it going well. I see them starting getting off a decent starting hit, and then the Teen Titans adapt and kick their butts
yeah, because
per usual.
because we know that Robin can break rocks just by kicking them. He's done that many
Yes.
times in the show.
I mean, bro,
Off
listen,
his
on a
gadgets.
bad day, he can throw cinder block with his bare hands, which again is impossible. But it's routine. I mean, it's routine. I mean, I just
Mm,
yeah. So I don't see that going well at all.
yeah, and like not to be rude, but it's really a 5v4. It really it's a because Gasaka's not a factor here.
I mean, not really. No. I mean, he's the like. I mean, he's their brain power, but I mean, he's not really.
He's not smarter than Robin. He's
He's
not
not
smarter than
smarter than
Cyborg.
Robin or really. And I mean, oh, and also Raven has that win condition where she can just like possess people and they fall asleep. I forgot about that.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
that kind of nullifies any avatar state potentially.
Yeah. Maybe. And
Yeah,
like even in the
probably.
Avatar say he's still vulnerable. Like if you get a hit on him,
Yeah,
he
he's
can still
not
go
really that
down.
like he's not really that like I mean he's powerful, but it's also like you can also just like I don't know, man. Like it's just the Teen Titans are too powerful for what they can do, and I feel like Team Avatar is very limited. So
Mhm. Yeah. And like and we're not even like talk about their comic book counterparts, which
no,
again,
no, that's just not fair.
Cyborg can open
It's
boom tubes, Raven can, have a super form, Starfire ridiculous like no.
no, it's just not. It's not. Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, because again, in the shows alone is plenty. Because I mean,
Yeah.
Beast Boy has that whole. I mean, he had that whole werewolf or whatever episode where he
Mhm.
just turned into just an unbeatable thing and beat the crap out of everyone. I mean, there's yeah,
Mhm.
it's not really close,
Yeah, like
but it's fun to consider. But no, it's not really
mm,
close.
it'd be a fun fight, but yeah, no.
Nah,
Right.
it wouldn't last very long. They'd be nice about it, but they kick their butts.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything else you want to bring up or discuss?
That's all I got.
All right. So with that, we will see you all next time.
Take care.